And a pleasant good afternoon. You're watching a presentation of Yale University Field Hockey as today it's back to Ivy League action as coming into town from the city of the brotherly love. That is Penn University as they take on the host Yale University Bulldogs. JJ Duke alongside me is Emmy Reinwald. And Emmy, Yale had a good weekend last weekend in conference play. One of their most offensive games that they've had in quite some time. 7-4 victory on the road against Dartmouth, and then competed against UConn, picked up a goal late on despite falling to the number one ranked team in the land. But still, again, for Yale, it's a season of new improvements continuing on and more offense coming about. And really, it was that Dartmouth game that showed us 7 goals coming from a plethora of different players, and that was really kind of a statement win for this Yale team.
And that's what they needed after a few early losses in the Ivy League play earlier in the season. They needed a big win against an Ivy League team going into this game against Penn, which is going to be a tough game. The rivalry between these two teams, probably one of the toughest in the Ivy League at the moment. These Yale Bulldogs want to beat Penn even more so than they want to beat Harvard. Yale has not beaten Penn since 2011 when they tied for the Ivy League title that year, and it's been a couple years of tough, close games, and I think we're going to see another one here today.
Yeah, that came back on November the 5th, 2011, the day that the Bulldogs clinched the share of the conference title. It was one of the few years that Princeton did not win it outright, in a day that Yale has been celebrating for a while. And hopefully on a day like today, knowing that Penn comes into this one on the back of a loss to Delaware last weekend, there is definitely a chance that they can take off and get to a good start. And that's the one thing that Yale has been working on this season, and getting off to fast starts and looking to get shots on goal. More on that in just a moment. Let's bring in the starting lineups and team news first for Penn. They're 9-4 on the season, 3-1 in Ivy play. Their lone loss was a double overtime loss to the Crimson back on October the 2nd. In the field, going by numerical order, Elise Tilton wears number 3. Sophia Palacios wears 6. Alexa Hoover up front will wear the number 7 jersey. Jasmine Lee, a product of Stamford, Connecticut, will be in back, wears number 9. Paige Miley, a sophomore, wears 11. Alexa Shinek, the number 14 jersey. Claire Canisius wears 17. Rachel Huang, 19. Laura Shelton dons the 22, and Gina Guccione wears 23, and in goal is Liz Maiden. We're underway here as Yale in their traditional home blue jerseys moving from left to right. Penn wearing their road gray jerseys will be operating to the goal off to our left, and an opportunity now for Elise Tilton to drive into the area. Yale, it's a pretty unchanged lineup. Katie Smith with the start today. Danae Fitzgerald up front with Carol Middow. Bridget Condi wears 7. Steffi Katz in the back wears number 8. Tess Thompson also in defense wearing the 11 jersey. And Alex Mackay wears 12. Holly Jackson in defense wears 14. Kiwi Camizio there as well wearing 20. And Allie Carrigan up front wearing the 21. And Emily Katz, as always, between the pipes today. And if you are Yale, what type of start do you need against a Penn team that likes to attack, likes to get shots on goal? They're second in the conference with a 17.5 shots per game ratio. If you're Yale, they've been stout defensively at times, but they've also conceded the fair amount of goals. What do they need to do over this first 5-10 minutes to get off to a good start?
Show that they're a strong defense. You're playing against Alexa Hoover on Penn's team, who's taken more than 80 shots this season, 23 more than anyone else in the league. They're going to need to show her that they're not going to give her any easy shots, and they're not going to let her score today. And if they can build that confidence in the first 5-10 minutes, showing that they're a strong, solid defense, I think that'll start to rattle Penn a bit, but also give them the confidence, Yale the confidence to start attacking more.
Well, Hoover wearing the 7 jersey. You'll see her with the neon green headband. Already, just in her junior year, has set program records for most career goals and career points, as she has hit the half century already with 50 goals and 118 total points. She set both of those records within the first couple of games of this past season, and already on a good scoring form. However, her last goal was just a goal against Delaware, and that snapped a couple of games where she did not find the cage. A backhanded try was blocked down, a chance coming for Schneck, battling with Holly Jackson in the area, and it'll be a penalty corner to come as Schneck was doing the dirty work inside the area and picked up the.
And Holly Jackson did a great job to get there and put some pressure on, but the Bulldogs were giving the Penn attackers too much space early on, and they were lucky enough to get a stick and stop that backhanded shot, but can't give up too many of those opportunities to Penn. Their attack is just too opportunistic.
Penn leads the Ivy in most corners drawn this season with 111. They've converted on 10 of those occasions thus far. I'll be Rachel Huang to insert here from the near side. I'm counting 6 jerseys in and around the area. Yale with their 4 inside the cage, just inside the first 3 minutes here. The intent was towards Hoover, but the Bulldogs were able to read it away as Schneck took an extra half second to settle that one onto her stick. As earlier on today, this field, albeit usually a very slick surface, we had a good amount of rain right up until the start of this game. And how does that change how this game gets played out? Obviously, on a traditional, more sunny day, it's wet down beforehand with the sprinklers. But when it was coming down at a pretty good rate from 8 o'clock this morning onwards, the field, it's going to move today.
It's definitely going to move today, but not with the rain having stopped early on. I don't think it'll play that much of a factor in the game today. And if you look, the majority of players on both teams choosing not to wear any sort of Under Armour or long sleeve under their sleeveless jerseys. And I think with the sun out, people are warm. They're used to playing on a wet field to begin with. And almost no one on the Yale team plays with a glove, which that's the real big tricky part when it starts to rain, is when that starts to get really wet and you lose grip on the stick. But that shouldn't be a problem today for the Bulldogs.
As Hoover trying to link up with Sophia Palacios on the far side. She's going to get there, has one player in front, and Gina Guccione, but tracked back well by Holly Jackson. And Yale will get the carry as the referee waved advantage on. There's an infraction against Penn, but this is Katie Smith. Smith doing well to hold up possession for just a moment. She had a pair of goals against Dartmouth. The only player in that game last Saturday to have multi-goals. Goals came fast and furious, especially in that first half, where the Bulldogs outshot the Big Green 30-17. Middow, Fitzgerald, Reese, Kerrigan, and Jackie Kisa all scoring in that contest. And then, of course, on the back end of that weekend, the traditional game against UConn. And, well, you look at that one saying, yes, Yale did fall in that one. They did concede 8 goals. However, they're not the first, and they won't be the last team this season alone to give up 8 to UConn. But at times during that game, unlike you could say last year's matchup, Yale held their own at times, and no doubt looking to keep that momentum going into this one is checking in Lily Smith here on the near side.
And as much as that scoreline doesn't seem to have any sort of positives for the Bulldogs there, UConn is the top team in the nation, the only undefeated team left in the country. And the Bulldogs had some good attack against the Huskies and learned some lessons that are going to apply when they're playing teams that maybe aren't as top quality as UConn is.
So we're into the 6th minute of action here, still looking for our game's first shot on goal. Penn had an early chance off the penalty corner, but didn't connect on that one. But a poor giveaway on the far side. Here comes the Quakers forward. This is Claire Canisius through the midfield, but Laura Shelton lost her balance for a moment. Good check by Carol Middow. And Yale looked to break out of their own end. Had an opportunity to see Penn earlier on this season when they played Fairfield in a game that actually ended up going into double overtime before the Quakers pulled that one out. Penn will like to clog the midfield up. They're not a team that's going to let their opposition break out. If they do beat them, they're going to have to beat them with numbers forward. And they're not a team that gives up a whole lot of goals, as their GAA is below 1.8 this season. But ironically enough, that's only in the middle portion of the Ivies. One of the things that about this Ivy League, teams don't give up goals. There are a lot of tight scoring fixtures. And a bit of coming together there on the far side as Hoover drags away Lily Smith's stick. First time we've seen a yard sale here in a little bit of time.
And just as this game goes on, look for it to get more aggressive. Look for plays like that to start happening. There's a lot of bad blood between these two teams, and especially if this game stays close, I think we'll start to see a little bit more fouls and maybe even a couple cards here or there.
Last year when Yale trekked down to Philadelphia, it was a close game for a long stretch of time. Penn jumped out to an early lead. Tilton, Palacios, and Hoover all had goals. Yale cut it to within 1 at 3-2 halfway through the second half before Penn was able to pull it out, and Yale scored both of their goals off penalty corners, which was a big key for them, but Hoover ended up getting the extra insurance goal that was needed to put that one away, as Holly Jackson does well to bring a heavy pass down going forward. Jackson's been so impressive this season, but just as I say that, Hoover gets past her. But coming out was Katz. Helping there again was Jackson. You and I saw in Yale's last match against Princeton where Jackson had to come off a bit later on in that, and also in a match prior where she got injured late. Yale's defense is much different when she is on the field versus off the field, and they're a better team when she is in that center back position.
Definitely, and her poise and aggression as a freshman has just been a great surprise for the Bulldogs in this season. And knowing that just her first season here, she's going to do big things for the Bulldogs as she matures and spends a few more years in New Haven.
In the 10th minute, get their second penalty corner. As driving in was Palacios here to the near side. Palacios, a sophomore from Virginia with 5 goals, had 2 against North Carolina, a goal against Columbia, and the game winner against Fairfield in that double. A second opportunity to come for our visitors is once again Rachel Huang, a junior from East Brunswick. We'll insert here from the near side. The last time Penn looked to go through Schneck to Hoover, but Yale was able to get sticks behind it and knock it out. Do they go through that same routine here? As it's a pass to the near side, a low drag, it's kicked away. That was Schneck on the shot, but another penalty corner comes into that because it bobbled up into Alex Mackay's jersey. And third penalty corner here for Penn as we're in now the 10th minute of action.
All season, Penn's done a great job at getting corners, not necessarily converting them. So even though the Bulldogs have given up a few corners early, not the end of the world for the defense. Just as long as they can continue to take away those shot opportunities from the Quakers.
And this is Hoover with the drag flick to the far side. It was intended toward Elise Tilton at the back post, but it was knocked away. It will be Penn's possession still on the far side. And they'll look to reset. So Yale already seeing off the 3 penalty corners thus far. And now they'll have a chance to break out as Kiwi Camizio, good stick work, and had the option to the far side, but Brooke Reese not able to take it down, and Penn will continue on the possession off to our left as we've had plenty of action here to the goal facing Emily Katz, and she's starting to see more and more action over the past weeks. Now 5 times she's recorded 10 or more saves, including the 13 against UConn, which to think that means 21 of the shots went on target. It's a lot of work for the netminder, but still even then, she's keeping her team in the games and no doubt will be in the conversation for all Ivy honors.
Hello again and welcome to the re-air of the 2016 Yale Penn Field Hockey game. I'm Evan Ellis and I'm pleased to be joined by the Caroline Ruth Thompson head coach of Yale Field Hockey, Pam Stuper. And Pam, through the conversations that we've had with our other coaches, they've talked about how our student athletes have rallied around the challenges that they have been given since March and have continued to communicate and function as a team, even though they're all over the world.
I would agree. I mean, the class of 2021, our senior class, has been tremendous. They have really navigated this uncertain time quite well. There are 2 here that are enrolled. The other 4 taken an LOA, so they'll be back and everything they're doing remotely, but they're still staying connected. And whether players are here on campus, training, playing, whether they're abroad, whether they're around the country, they're managing to stay close to each other. And the leadership of that class has been phenomenal through all of this.
This really reflects the family environment that Yale Field Hockey has had for its entire existence.
We just had our second networking series with our alumni group. So we've done some Zoom calls this fall, and it has incorporated the alums with the team on a few calls. We did an alumni day. We did a virtual alumni day and announced the 2020 team to our alumni group. And that was a lot of fun. Each of the players were on the call and, we're able to spend some time with the alums virtually. And that our networking series is a series of 4 different nights throughout the fall. And it's having alum career type networking. So it's been great and a lot of fun to connect in different ways with our alums and with our team. And it is one big family.
Let's move to this game, the 2016 Penn game. And it had been a couple of years since you guys had beaten the Quakers. And in this game, you got up to a very fast start in the first half.
I mean, it's always a really good game. I think as you move through the Ivy season, the more intense the games get, and not that the early ones aren't, because they're typically Harvard and Princeton, but it becomes more competitive as you start to get closer to the end of the season, and who's going to win the championship and such. So, we walked into that game, a home game, an opportunity to just play a really strong team. And Penn's been a very good team here the last decade. So, yeah, we went off to a good start and had our opportunities, made the most of them, had 2 goals going into halftime, and then let them creep back in, and then had to make it an extra exciting game.
You look at this game and you look at the names of those who made big plays, and it really came down to a pair of senior sisters that really came through in a big way for the Bulldogs.
It was great. I mean, Emily Katz has been phenomenal in goal for us during her time here at Yale, and again had an amazing performance. And for Steffi to have the game-winning goal in overtime was quite remarkable. Steffi isn't someone that scored a lot, and for her to have such a big goal at a big time, and it was a skill that we had been working on, and some of the kids would do it reluctantly. How does this fit into a game? And still to this day, we smile and enjoy the moment that Steffi had with that particular goal.
That was Yale head coach Pam Stuper, and we really thank her for her time. The Bulldogs and the Penn Quakers continue.
Sort of deflection here to the near side. Katie Smith a little late to get to it, but it just goes by the wayside as we are goalless in the 15th minute of action. You're watching Yale Field Hockey here on the Ivy League Digital Network. And as a reminder, you can now watch the ILDN through the ILDN app on Apple TV and Roku. Purchase your subscription on your desktop, mobile, or tablet device and gain access to all live events and on-demand content. Enjoy the Ivy League Digital Network on Apple TV and Roku on your big screen today, as Yale Athletics has plenty of activity going on throughout the days. It's Yale versus Penn almost this entire weekend as football last night. However, the home fans are not going to be talking about that one a whole lot. We're just going to leave it where it is right there. Soccer, men and women, will be squaring off both at Reese Stadium. Coming up a little bit later this afternoon, I'll be joining Brian Tompkins in the booth for that one. And also Blue Madness is in action later tonight. We'll get to that in a moment as Yale has earned themselves their first penalty corner just off to the near side, a chance for some more bodies to get into the attacking area.
And in the past 6 or 7 minutes, we've really seen the Bulldogs attack, pick it up a bit, get some good shots on the Penn goalie, and really start having an impact there on the offensive circle.
An interesting decision here. This will not be Steffi Katz to insert, because I don't see her on the field at the moment. It looks to be Condi on the far side, and she'll drag it into the area. A shot by Meadows, parried away, still could be loose inside the area, and Yale gets the opener. That's Allie Kerrigan on the doorstep. Maida couldn't cover it fast enough, and the Bulldogs in the 16th minute get a 1-0 lead.
Great job by Allie Kerrigan to be there. That's her role on the corners. Make sure she's there for any sort of deflection or rebound off the goalie, and great job by the sophomore. And that's a big plus for the Bulldogs. Just about 15 minutes into the game to get that early lead. After playing strong on defense so far, and like we said, in the past 6-7 minutes, really starting to pick it up on offense to convert and get that goal. Great start for the Bulldogs.
Well, the big thing off the penalty corner for the home side is that Yale's been striking with more consistency off those restarts. Against Dartmouth last week, 3 goals off penalty corners. One of those almost scored in the exact same situation where a shot from the outside initially kicked away by the goalie, never fully cleared, and someone was hanging on the post here to the near side. So Yale get the first one. Allie Kerrigan, that's her 5th goal of the season. And now she's into double digits on points as well. Yale, their 8th goal off a penalty corner. It still could be on here as the deflection by Smith kicked away by Maida. Meadow had the shot from the area. It looked like it was deflected for a moment, and a great redirection by Katie Smith here to the near side. And that's big for Yale right now as they got the early lead, taking advantage of those restarts as Penn has already figured out the hard way that you're not going to get too many shots by Emmy Katz, and thus far, so good, as we're almost halfway through this first half of action. Medici with all the time in the world to pick out a pass. Alexa go to the near side. Meadow looked to chase it down. She ends up finding that connection here at the near side and rounds 2 defenders. That's a dangerous pass into the area by Katie Smith, but it works. However, the referee, I think he was holding that up for a moment, brought it back for a foul, as now we get to see Alexa Hoover check back into the match as she came off for a short sequence.
Yeah, any sort of pass high into the circle is gonna be called a foul, but the ref was waiting to see if Penn won possession there, but ended up not, and giving Penn the free hit out of the circle. And with Alexis Hoover back in the game, you know the defense for the Bulldogs taking note of that, making sure that someone's watching her at all times, because one of the most dangerous aspects of her game is just her speed, kind of coming out of nowhere and making something out of nothing.
Well, if you will, hanging off the back shoulders of a couple of defenders and latching on to longer passes. But Yale, if you can say that they acknowledge the personnel onto the field and Pam Stuper using good substitutions and getting some attackers into the lineup when Hoover was off. And as he kind of pointed out to me earlier on this season, Emmy, that teams will go by lines. They'll have players that will be working with each other on the field. They'll have the same groups come on and off for each other. So that's all about good preparation and knowing your personnel both on your team and also scouting the opposition as well.
Yeah, and especially with Hoover, the Bulldogs have seen her, seen what she can do for the past couple of years, in addition to watching the game film from this season. And you can bet that Pam Stuper has prepared her defense well to defend against the star for Penn.
To the near side, Karen's side. Going against Katie Smith, draws the foul. The referee will ask her to back up just a little bit closer here to the near side. As it's 16 minutes even to go left in the first half. Ball deflected into the area. There's Hoover batting it up and over. Is it off the line? It is.
Great save by Holly Jackson on the line. And you know, that's not the first time we've seen the freshman do that. She's done that one other time earlier this season, and great job. Saved a goal for the Bulldogs here. Keeps the Bulldogs' lead intact.
Impressive on both ends because Hoover did ever so well to bat that one up over the goalkeeper, but then Jackson had to be wary of where the stick was. There's another loose ball into the area. Jackson again fighting for it inside the arc, and Yale able to sweep it away to the near side, but then also at the same time, Jackson had the presence of mind to know exactly where she was on the field and was able to bat that ball right out of the air across before it went over the line. So our second defensive save of this season. And in fact, for Yale, that is their only player that has a defensive save. But coming out of key one, as it was Hoover, as you so said, can show up in those pockets of space and make things happen almost out of nothing.
But Jackson's been showing great game knowledge that you typically don't see in such a young player. Even that's something that even as seniors or people who've been more experienced on the collegiate level tend to maybe panic on the line or forget exactly where they are. But her composure this whole season has been great, and we're seeing that again here against Yale's rival Penn.
Well, she brings a lot of experience to the table as it is a freshman from Glastonbury, England, won national indoor and outdoor independent school titles in her native country. So a player that's not afraid of the big stage and already has made an impact onto this team. As the Bulldogs, they ward away, you could say now that's their best chance for Penn of this game. Still plenty of time left here in this first half.
Definitely, and you got to watch Alexis Hoover again by herself in the circle, ready for the quick counterattack by Penn. But you'll see that as Yale goes to take this free hit coming out, Penn is putting a lot of pressure on the Yale defense on every time they get possession of the ball. You got a Penn girl right up in there. And we're starting to see it get aggressive like we talked about earlier. Not, Penn right there getting called for not being 5 yards. And I think we're going to see a card here. Yep.
It's going to be Alexa Hoover that will go into the referee's book. Was this just a green card? It was. So 2 minutes at 13:45. So Yale will be on the player advantage here.
And that came for not being 5 yards on that initial free hit, and after Penn had already been warned a couple times this game about that. And that, you're going to get cards like that when your team is very aggressive and starts pushing up on the free hits like Penn's been doing. But big loss for Penn, losing Alexa Hoover, and a great opportunity for the Bulldogs here.
And Penn has been a team that's been pretty good disciplined up to this point. That's only their 12th green card of the season. They've played their 14th game of 2016, so they've been knowing to stay off the board and keep things at level strength. But this is Middo into the area.
That won't be, mark my words, that won't be the last card of the game. This game's going to get chippy really soon.
And a foul that does go against Yale. And right now, with that advantage for another minute or so, you'd have liked to generate a shot on goal. But still, Yale, you can almost use this as well to tip the scales back into your favor by getting a bit more possession once Hoover gets back onto the field. Well, you're going to have more and more looks at Lismata, as Yale's shown already earlier on here. They've generated 3 good scoring chances and converted on one of them. It's a foul that goes against the Quakers. But Yale will get, Penn will get possession right by the corner flag. 30 seconds left in the player advantage as Alexa Hoover continues to sit. Hoover last year was an All-American, first team All-Ivy as well, and second in the NCAA in goals per game at a 1.89 goal per game ratio. So you know she's going to get a look or two here, especially as we wear down the rest of the first half. But still sitting for just a moment. Good stick work by Karen Side to the near and able to get around Middo for the moment, but Middo gets right back into it, drives it into the areas. We are now back at even strength as Hoover trots back onto the field right in front of us. Kiwi Camizio has already put together a season high and career high in assists. She has 7, which is good enough for second in the conference. Only had 3 assists in 34 prior games coming into this one. Main reason for that is she's the person that sets it down off the inserts from the penalty corners, and with Yale now scoring 8 penalty corners this season, well, she's going to garner a fair few assists now, but that could pay dividends, perhaps maybe in All-Ivy honor later on.
And every season that Kiwi Camizio has been here for the Bulldogs, she's gotten more and more responsibility given to her by Pam Stuper, and we've started to see that although she is that defensive midfielder on the field, she really is the spark of a lot of offense for the Bulldogs, and when they do get those corners, she's essential in making sure those are converted to goals.
10:45 left to go here in the first half. If you're just tuning in, JJ Duke and Emmy Reinwald here with you from Johnson Field. Yale getting the opener from Allie Kerrigan. She got inside the area. Kerrigan knocked home a penalty corner that was loose just in front. Liz Maida couldn't do enough to block down the initial shot from Carol Middo, and that's how we've gotten our scoring thus far. Subs getting ready to go on either side as Bridget Condi ready to check back in, and she will replace Katie Smith. Also see Gina Guccione get ready to enter back, and looking for some more attack is Colleen Fink at the helm of Penn.
We hope you're enjoying the 2016 Yale Penn Field Hockey game, and we're pleased to be joined by another special guest, Iliana Cabral. And Iliana, my first question for you is a very simple one. Why Yale?
Yeah, so that actually brings me back to my official visit. I came here with 4 other girls who I'm actually in the same class with now. And essentially I remember like watching the game against Penn, and there was like a certain energy that the girls had, not only while playing, but also when coming off the field, and how they interacted with each other. It didn't feel like they were just teammates. It was more so like there was a family there, and that they really cared about one another on and off the field. And so that's what drew me to Yale.
And that's a perfect segue into this game that we're watching right now. For you, is there a specific moment from this 2016 Penn game that really stands out?
Basically, the really interesting part of the game was towards the end. It went into overtime, and next thing we know, we see Steffi Katz, the captain of the team, driving the ball up the field, basically just her and the goalie. And as she goes to shoot, at one point, she's just facing the wrong side of the goal. And so everyone in the audience in the stand was like, how the heck is she going to get it in? But she has to get it in. And so as we were watching, we just see her body go back and just swing the stick out of nowhere, and somehow the ball ends up going in. And just like the feeling of victory after that, like goal was scored, and just watching all the girls like running towards her being really excited, like was very much like a special moment and exciting.
You mentioned earlier the family aspect of the Yale Field Hockey program, and can you describe how that has evolved over your time at Yale?
So actually, I had a very interesting freshman year. broke my nose twice, was hospitalized for the flu. And like one thing that was like constant throughout it was just like the teammates and how they wanted to really like make sure I was doing okay and like asked me like over and over again what they could do to help. And there was one time in particular where a senior named Tess Thompson actually like went out of her way, texted me, like was making sure I was okay, and like even though she was really busy, she took the time to like go grab me a few snacks and like essentially be like my sister of the day. So like you really get that family feel here.
And this camaraderie and closeness has had to continue to grow over the past couple of months.
Post March, all the girls, it was really hard not like being directly like one-on-one with everyone in person. And so like we actually ended up doing quite a few Zooms. And like it wasn't only like Zooms of like, hey, let's check in. It was like, okay, we can't work out together. Like, let's do a yoga session and let's do like XYZ things to make us feel like we're with each other one-on-one. And then in addition to that, like we have a bunch of teammates who are really just all around the world. And it was really special that we had the people in like South Africa or Scotland take the time to really like take the step back from like a family dinner or like stay up late at night to be surrounded by us. So
The family environment really extends past just the current members of the team.
you're not left on an island after you graduate. Like the family feeling continues on. For example, like I mentioned, over the summer, I was able to reach out to an alum who was working at the same bank that I was at. But it wasn't only that. I was able to call my coach in the middle of the internship and kind of like float ideas off of her about like how to proceed with things. And then also like speak with ex-alum Marissa Medici. I swear it feels like she's still on the team with us. Like I just chatted with her about a month ago about like life in general and work and how she's enjoying New York. And so you really do get that feel. And that's one of the reasons that's like driving me toward like to live in New York once I graduate. It's simply because a lot of my teammates who graduated are there, and it would be great to have that family feel again on the East Coast.
That was Iliana Cabral, and we thank her very much for her time. Yale and Penn from 2016 rolls on.
Standing a bit stationary, looking a little leggy at the moment, but now they can get it out of their zone. A good takeaway by Lily Smith. Doesn't have many options to work with, so once again she'll look to go to the corner, then round a couple of defenders. Bit of a bad break for the Bulldogs as Smith saw that ball pop up into her jersey, but it was touch off a Penn foot, so it'll be still possession of the Bulldogs. And that should be a penalty. No, they're going to bring that one back outside the zone. I thought for a second that...
I don't agree with that call, JJ. I think that looked like it was deflected off the Penn stick and up. Should have been a corner for the Bulldogs. Not quite sure what the ref saw right there.
Maybe if anything, something before, but I was on the same mindset as you. It looked like Middo was able to gain herself into the zone and pop it up right into one of the defenders' jerseys, but still nonetheless we remain with the line of Yale right at their own end with 5:25 to go. But that clearance only goes as far as a few feet, and Laura Shelton will restart. Claire
Hacking call on the
Canisius.
Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's been persistent. As you said, this match has gotten a little more testy over the last few minutes. The referee, though, not allowing this game to kind of open up a little bit. Stops every few seconds, albeit this is a sport that we will see rapid stoppages, but at the same time, could be a few advantages called, and referee pulling it back. So instead, it'll go with Jasmine Lee to the near side.
You know, the Bulldogs need to keep their heads with the lead here. No need for them to start fighting with the refs or questioning certain calls. Just need to keep their composure and keep playing great defense like they have been.
And Camizio with a good stop through. She can only send it forward as Yale are getting players in and off in that situation. But, yeah, we've seen that a couple of times this year where a little bit of too much dissent. The referees will take that into note and will go to the card. And the last thing you need here with 4:18 left in this first half is to give Penn an opportunity to have a player advantage. Stay the course. At minimum, if you don't agree with the call, just get on with it because you don't want to give your team any more of a difficult situation than it already is.
And even if they're not getting a card in this half, the refs remember who starts arguing more. And as we get into the second half, and if this game stays close like it is, those attitudes may come back to haunt a couple players.
Middo tried to send one into the area, but whiffed on the attempt. And now with Alexa Hoover. And she has a couple of players forward, Alexa Hoover. Looking to switch to the far side, but a good step. That was Tara Litchens. Keeping the stick low to the ground, not allowing that pass to connect with Elise Tilton.
That was a great clearance by the freshman. Just get the ball out of there with less than 4 minutes to go. Ease up the pressure on the Bulldogs' defense.
Alexa Schneck looking for some sort of outlet, but Katz will just let that one go straight into the cage. And if you're wondering why she just did that first, you can only score in field hockey inside the 16-yard crease. You can get a touch in there as well. If it goes from outside the area, the goalie will more often than not just let it go through, and it'll be a restart as Yale just did a moment ago. The first time I called a field hockey game, that one really got me for a moment. So I'm wondering, why is the goalie letting that ball go all the way through? But there's the reason for it.
Tends to get a lot of the parents, too. You'll start hearing some cheers from the stands before they realize what exactly happened.
Especially on the ones that are very close to being outside the area. And I could see where that gray area of concern starts to come into it as Middo gets to the near side with 2:26 to go.
So we're starting to see Holly Jackson a lot more up top, and it looks like Coach Pam Stuper made the adjustment to switch.
And what a rocket that is by Middo. Goes to the backhand to the near post, and Yale doubles up here with 2:27 left. That was an absolute rocket of a shot, and now Middo has scored in her last 3.
Just absolutely textbook shot by Middo, and with less than 3 minutes to go in the half, just what the Bulldogs needed. Extend their lead to 2. You can see that's definitely going to rattle Penn a little bit there. We'll see if they can respond before halftime.
That is her 8th goal of the season, just one off the pace she set a year ago, which netted her 2nd team all-conference. Well inside the top 10 in that category for goals scored. And that is about as good as you can get it for Yale. You're thinking perhaps going into the locker room, you have a 1-goal advantage. You'll take that, no doubt about it, against a very strong Penn team, but now 2 to the good here. Well, Pam Stuper can probably just eliminate whatever halftime team talk she had and now can just focus on doing all the little things correctly, because every time Yale's putting pressure on the offense, it's making it worth.
And we've seen in this latter half of this first half, you've seen Yale just have a lot more possession than they did to start the game. Less attacks from the Penn offense, and specifically from Alexa Hoover. And you've seen that for a little bit there. Coach Pam Stuper had switched Kiwi Camizio and Holly Jackson, keeping Camizio further back, marking Alexa Hoover, and allowing Holly Jackson to push up a bit more. But it looks like they've gone back to the way they started the game with Holly Jackson back center defense.
Under a minute and a half left to go here in the first. Yale looking to take this 2-goal lead into the locker room. Maybe perhaps they almost got themselves one more as that long stretch pass from Middo looking to connect with Kerrigan goes wide. So the goal scorers, Allie Kerrigan and Carol Middo. You're thinking that second one will go unassisted, but Kerrigan off the penalty corner. But so far, so good to the plan for Yale, who you can think even, yes, albeit they have the 3 Ivy losses, we've seen a couple of twists and turns throughout the season. Maybe they can find themselves in a good position towards the last few weeks as Yale this begins the first of a 3-game homestand. They still have in conference play Columbia next Saturday and away to Brown the week following, and a home game senior day next Sunday against Quinnipiac to determine who takes my unofficial Johnson Cup title, with all Quinnipiac, Sacred Heart, and Yale playing all their home games here on this surface. I think Yale right now has the head-to-head in that. But of course, there is actually no trophy to be. I might give one at the end of the season.
Yeah, but both Ivy League games left on the Yale schedule, definitely winnable games for the Bulldogs. And, you know, a win here and wins there could give them their first winning season in the Ivy League in a few years now.
And the horn is going to go here as we will hit the halftime interval. Yale with 2 goals to the good, scored by Allie Kerrigan and Carol Middo. We'll step aside during halftime. When we come back, we'll have your first half stats and get you ready for the second. You're watching Yale Field Hockey here in the Ivy League Digital Network.
This experience, it lives on our fields and in our classrooms, where every day is a test. Each moment builds on this experience, and creates an environment that develops mind, body, and soul. We become part of the storied traditions of the Ivy League. This experience, it is unrivaled.
Welcome back to our re-air, the 2016 Yale Penn Field Hockey game. And pleased to be joined by a member of that team and the 2018 captain of Yale Field Hockey. It's Jackie Kisa. And Jackie, my first question is a simple one. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm currently stuck in NYC on a very cloudy day, but you know, it could be a lot worse. I get to talk about Yale Field Hockey.
So Jackie, going back to this 2016 Penn Field Hockey game, a game where you guys were coming into this where you hadn't beaten Penn in several years, and you guys really got off to a very, very hot start.
Yeah, so I remember that this game will always be seared into my memory. I remember this game was probably the closest game we've had so far, where Allie Kerrigan scored an early goal, and the rest just was goal after goal, us, then Penn scoring for the rest of the regular time, I guess, yeah.
So it's tied going into overtime, and what is kind of that mentality going into that overtime period?
It was an insane energy where I don't think Pam even gave a speech. I think our energy as a team was absolutely insane. We rolled straight from regular time into overtime, and the basically all we knew we had to do was we had to put the ball in the cage. There was no other way that game would have turned out. We had to put that ball in the cage.
The Cat sisters really played a big role in this one. You've got Emmy in the goal with an incredible save on what is the last defensive play of the game that transitions into the offensive goal. And then Steffi, who is your captain, getting her first goal. A lot of emotion.
Yeah, you could have called it the Cats game at that point because, well, Emily kept us out of loss the entire game. I think she had 11 saves total. Insane performance where I literally thought we were going to lose like a million times before she like miraculously saved the ball from going in the cage. And then a great transition from Bridget off of that save, and Danae's effort up there too, and Carol's. It was insane energy, and everyone just rushes out once Steffi puts it in the cage. It was incredible.
This Yale Field Hockey program, I've been around it for a few years now, and it just seems that you guys are an incredible family, and that has been something that has had to carry the program through the last few months.
When I first got to Yale Field Hockey, our culture was not quite where we wanted to be. And so for the next couple of years, the whole team wanted to really focus on being the kind of family that could win these games, that could absolutely carry us through a pandemic. And we became the closest tight-knit group of gals that you could ever see. We, the word is family in Yale Field Hockey. We probably could not have succeeded like we did if we did not have that, connection between all of the players and the coaching staff. And so to win this game was just the beginning of, that realization that this is all going to pay off with, because we all are so close with each other. We're all so connected, and we're, ready to actually put it to work in the field.
Well, Jackie, we thank you for your time. It was great to talk to you again. We hope to see you again soon.
Good to talk to you. Have a good time.
That was the 2018 captain of Yale Field Hockey, Jackie Kisa. Don't want to go anywhere. Second half of Yale and Penn continues.
Against Yale, and I think they might have gotten one, did Penn, but the referee played advantage to the near side. And Shinek will combine with Canisius. Now with Palacios, who had a chance in that first half, but was denied by a good save from Emmy Katz. The referee he did call penalty corner on the very far side of the 16-yard area. So it will be an opportunity for Penn to go back to work off this set piece. They're 0 for 3 on their penalty corners. And they generated the most restarts in the Ivy League, coming into today with 111. It'll be again Huang to insert from the far side. 2 of the 3 times they let Hoover slide in off the knockdown. But she only got one real good look out of that. The other came through Palacios, who's currently standing over it. This is Hoover to the far side. The deflection that goes, it's Palacios. Sophia Palacios picking up her 6th goal this season. That one coming in the 41st minute. And we're back to ball game here at 2-1.
That was great execution by Penn's corner unit. And when you have a forward who's been such a prolific scorer like Alexa Hoover, when you see her get the ball in the corner, the defense's first reaction is always to prepare for the shot. But that quick little pass off to Sophia Palacios, able to get that shot in that goal, bring the Penn right back into the game.
So they're giving the assist to Schneck on that one, so Alexa's 2nd assist this season. So off the penalty corner, Penn brings it closer. Now here come the Quakers on the far side, and this is Palacios. Has a couple of players ahead of her. Good stick by Jackson to halt the progress for a moment. That allows help to come, but they're going to bring that back. It's another penalty corner to the far side, and this is now where Penn can draw even. That was their 11th goal scored on a penalty corner this season, also leading the Ivy League. And they'll wait for the signal in here from the near side. It will once again be Huang to insert. Paige Miley, player, knocked that one down, cushioned it nicely to Schneck, who fed it to the far side. Wonder if they go to that same routine here, or do they perhaps let Hoover had a look at it? In the 42nd minute now, it'll be Huang to insert. Hoover will have the drag flick, and it's deflected in. That's back-to-back penalty corners, that coming from Elise Tilton. And those goals coming not too far away from each other, as both off the restart. You're going to give the assist to Alexa Hoover. It's that now her 7th assist of the season.
Not much goalie Emmy Katz could do in that situation. That's where she has to rely on her defenders to mark up those Penn attackers who kind of just sit there on the post looking for opportunities exactly like that to just deflect it into the goal. Kudos to Penn. A great deflection goal for them, but got to be frustrating for Emmy Katz and the Bulldogs defense, who've been working so hard in this game so far to keep Penn at bay. But tie game here, 2-2, with 28 minutes left to go.
Well, you'd figure with Penn the amount of penalty corners that they generate per game, it's around the 10 area per contest. If they can just keep going and doing what they do, eventually one would start falling. And unfortunately for the host, they've seen both come right after halftime. So now we're back to where we were. And can Yale find anything going forward, because they've been so good on the attack, but they haven't had many looks here in this second half.
And the key for the Bulldogs here will to not get frustrated, and as hard as that may seem, if the Bulldogs start to get annoyed with losing their lead, being in the tie game, you'll start to see them make little mistakes that are going to be costly.
That's going to be a high ball into the area. However, it will be possession to Yale's and knocked off the body of one of Penn's defenders. No, they're going to bring this one back and give it to Penn. Yale looked to be set up like they were in the attack there on the far side. But with numbers forward, they nearly came away with that pass. But now Penn looking to break on the counter, and they have someone well up far. It's Chelsea Duggan. And it nearly got there. Good stick by Litchens, though. As Duggan was almost kind of playing as that cherry picker role. Well ahead in case of the long outlet. And she'll got it across with Huang. Tilton. Her shot blocked down. Jackson. Well, they were asking for penalty corners, Penn, and I think the referee was going to signal it one, but he allowed advantage to carry on. That's not pleasing to the Penn bench.
I think it also may have been because Penn was the ones who hit it up and into. the Yale defender's knee. It's hard to get that corner call for you when you're the one lifting the ball into the opposing player.
And that time it will be that call, just as you say, as Yale draw it one that popped up into defender's knee. And now if you're the Bulldogs here, a 26-10 left in the second, you have to just keep back to where you were pushing. Get players higher up the field, pressure the Penn back line as you see a lot of blue jerseys camping in. But they're able to get a turnover here, though Condi not finding the connection.
And we're starting to hear a lot more talk from the bench and from the coaches on both teams. The intensity of this game has definitely gone up now that it's a tie game. And
Penn only last year, they were a few seconds away from being the Ivy champs last year as they were against Princeton and they lost in overtime, and that would have been the clear deciders. Both teams had the even record of 5-1, and because of that head-to-head, then Penn would have been the team that have gone to the NCAA tournament, but because conceding in that overtime goal, losing the head-to-head tiebreaker, Penn finished second last season. And they know that with already one Ivy loss to Harvard earlier on the season, a second loss, that would almost spell their hopes of trying to grab the crown. Good move by Huang, able to surpass one. Litchens able to find the connection with Allie Kerrigan. I think Yale needs to see more of Kerrigan here in this next 5-10 minutes. Try to generate those chances forward. And Litchens drew the foul, and a little slow to get up as well in the process.
we'll start to see a lot more fouls like that as the clock starts ticking away. It's going to get even trippier than it's been so far. Both teams wanting this win.
Condi over the far side, lost out possession. Jasmine Lee, good stick work, and she finds the connection with Canisius. And now Penn looking to break out here on the far side. Camizio, well, she thought she had room to work with, but they're going to bring that one back for a foul as Middow gets called for it.
Anytime you come from behind, you're going to get the foul. Unfortunately for Yale, that's a green card for Middow.
Carol Middow will now go into the book at a green card with 24 minutes and 5 seconds or so left to go here in the second half.
And that's not what you want to see in a tie game when the Bulldogs really do need to start sparking their offense. You get your offensive star for the Bulldogs out of the game and down a player.
So now if you're Yale at this point, got to be careful playing a player down again. Within the next minute, 45 seconds or so, crisp, clean passing. Not allow any turnovers inside the defensive area. And just as I say that, Penn come away with it. Tilton able to get around Katz. But Steffi did enough to halt the progress for just a moment. A ball that's deflected high up into the area. Good charge out by Holly Jackson. Cut down the shot. That was hit by Canisius, and she'll get back onto it. And Yale will draw the fouls. Of course, the door right behind us just blew open with a massive gust of wind, and it's got a bit more cloudy out as well. Perhaps maybe another passing shower could be in our wake as a foul that goes against Penn. So we're past 1 minute gone here into the green card of Carol Middow, who has one of the 2 goals today for the Bulldogs. Smith able to find the connection, has help ahead of her. Try to knock it into the shins of Laura Shelton, but the referee seemed fine to let play carry on. There will be Penn possession. 22-20 left. And Shelton lifts it up. Litchens called for the infraction. At a penalty corner, and that's not really good discipline from Lily Smith as she kind of went waving at that one as opposed to getting into a good defensive stance. Maybe perhaps a leg starting to give a little bit here, but a penalty corner for Penn. This is their 3rd of the half, their 6th of the match, and they've scored on their last 2. And we will get back to even strength as the penalty corner comes in. It's not really going to matter a whole lot for Yale, as they can only have 4 come out of the cage. Again, it'll be Rachel Huang to insert from the far side. There's a long pause before releasing. Hoover passing the near side, Schneck, but blocked down by Fitzgerald, and Yale's going to be able to get this one out of their zone. Great work there by Danae Fitzgerald to charge out of the crease well.
That's the type of corner defense the Bulldogs are going to need for the rest of this half. With Penn's ability to draw corners in such high numbers, the Bulldogs can't give up another goal like they did their first two in this half.
Well, by the way, as the ball goes out, let's take a look at some of the league notes around for field hockey. Harvard and Princeton remain unbeaten in league play, and they square off later on today. Then you see the latest league honors that came across between both Harvard and Princeton, and Harvard's Marissa Beleza became the all-time career points and goals leader for the Crimson, as she's surpassed the century mark in points and closing in on 50 career goals as well. And again, you're watching this presentation here on the Ivy League Digital Network, which you can now watch on the Ivy League Digital Network app and Apple TV and Roku. Purchase your subscription today on your desktop, mobile, or tablet device and gain access to all live events and on-demand content, including the last two home Yale Field Hockey matches that will be coming up in next weekend. So again, you can watch the Ivy League Digital Network on the big screen with Apple TV and Roku today. As Yale, they'll be next at home next Saturday at high noon against Columbia, and they'll finish out the season at home against Quinnipiac the day after on Sunday. That'll be a 2 p.m. start, Sunday, October the 30th. Ball bounces out. That'll be possession with Penn here the near side. And again, it's a busy day for Yale Athletics at home as football hosted their first game ever under the lights against Penn last night. Men's and women's soccer in action at 4 and 7 p.m. Both of those games are against Penn. And Blue Madness also taking place at the Lee Amphitheater to kick off the basketball season as we're only a few weeks away. And also women's ice hockey looking to wrap up a 2-game series and potentially sweep RIT as a 4-1 win yesterday to open up their 2016 campaign. Men's ice hockey will start next Saturday as they will host Sacred Heart. That'll be a 7 p.m. start. Ball into the area, dangerous deflecting around, but it will be a foul that goes against the Bulldogs as we're under 19 minutes to play here in the second half.
We're seeing the Bulldogs struggle to maintain any sort of possession, even starting back on the free hits coming out of the Bulldogs' own circle, just not really connecting the passes here in the second half.
Good pressure forward by Marissa Medici, making a good play right at the top of her own area, but a foul that goes against the Bulldogs. And after those couple early goals in the second half off penalty corners, this game has gotten into a bit of a lull. Not too many scoring chances. Penn had the one penalty corner, but Fitzgerald was able to charge it down and make the good stop. We don't have a whole lot of time here left in this one. Jackson able to knock the pass away intended for Hoover, but it stayed inside the area. And a foul that will go against the Bulldogs. However, this came right outside the area. Lead to the far side. Good stick work. That by Camizio. And she's able to guide it forward, though only as far as Jasmine Lee. Is Penn putting on the pressure here. No touch, dangerous inside the areas. Chelsea Duggan once again playing that very high striker role. Nearly got a late deflection onto it, but it just only goes into the cage without a touch.
And those are the type of opportunities the Bulldog defense can't keep giving Penn. They're going to put one of those in, and it's going to spell disaster for the Bulldogs.
Good play there in the middle. This is Katie Smith, and she's got herself into a good stretch, looking for any sort of help inside the area. The idea was on for Kerrigan, but I think Katie in too tight of an angle to drag that across goal, and Kerrigan came too far inside the near post. But Yale reminding the visitors right now that, well, they can hit on the counter as well, and nearly did there.
And you got to give props to Penn's defender there, doing a great job of shielding Smith, to the outside, giving her a bad angle there, not allowing her to get any sort of decent shot off.
Camizio gets called for the foul. Now Penn looking to push back forward.
And we're starting to see the frustration in Kiwi Camizio, whether it's after the 2 goals Penn scored or after fouls called on her like that. She's definitely starting to feel it today.
As players coming on and off here on the near side, you just saw Rachel Huang get ready to come back on, getting some final instructions. It's a bit of a rocket of a shot there, or clearance by Camizio, and ended up knocking into one of her own teammates. A chance now for Palacios, but a good stop by Katz, still loose inside the area. Ball not covered there. Katz holding her ground, and this will be, I believe, a penalty corner to come as Katz did do enough, but that ball popped into one of Yale's jerseys here on the near side.
That was a good job by Katz to make sure that she didn't cover the ball, and although Penn is awarded a corner, it could have been a lot worse, and Penn could have been awarded a stroke if the ref had felt Emily Katz had been covering the ball and preventing anyone from making a play on it.
I think Katz was maybe wondering perhaps that she could have got a foul there going against Penn for consistent hacking and whacking inside the area. But it will be another opportunity now for Penn. It's their 7th penalty corner. Hoover didn't get a clean cushion down, instead goes back to Paige Miley, and her shot was always going wide.
That was great pressure by Danae Fitzgerald, and that's one of the advantages of Yale's corner unit, that not only do they have a good rush out in Katie Smith, but that second person, that trailer, Danae Fitzgerald, also does a great job on any sort of secondary shots looking for goal.
Tilton's shot went wide as she tried to send it, looking for deflection the far post. We have 14:35 left to go here in regulation. J.J. Duke and Emmy Reinwald topside at Johnson Field, as this is a start of a 3-game home stretch for the Bulldogs, after splitting the action last weekend, winning 7-4 away to Dartmouth and dropping the contest to the #1 nationally ranked team in UConn. Medici, again wearing that protective mask, was able to step in there and halt the progress for a moment. Ball hit into the area, cleared away, but Katz gets the foul drawn before Chelsea Duggan could slip one by her. Also, Steffi Katz getting ready to check back on, but Yale not clearing their lines enough. And with persistence, here comes Penn.
The Bulldogs are giving away too much of their possession on those free hits instead of having the opportunity to get the pressure off the defense, just hitting it right back to the Penn, allowing them a quick counterattack opportunities.
And there's going to be a green card coming. They're going to give that one to the bench. And Pam Stuper, well, she's not pleased at some decision that our near side official made. No players will come off as a result of that, but coach has been carded here.
We've been talking about this all day, JJ. There's a lot of bad blood between these two teams, and both coaches have been vocal in their displeasure with the refs and their teams.
Yeah, it's not been once or twice. It's been on multiple occasions here. As Smith was able to step into it, Fitzgerald called for the foul. And there's going to be a card to come, and this will go against Fitzgerald. And that's where you have to keep your head in this situation, because consistent dissent will get you sent off. So now Penn with the player advantage here is Fitzgerald off with 13 minutes even.
And we talked about this going into the halftime, and that was when the Bulldogs were up by 2 goals, but especially now with the tie game, where even losing a forward doesn't necessarily mean the Bulldogs are at a disadvantage on defense, but really hard to score a goal when you're down in one of your top forwards.
But it does help having Carol Minnow back onto the field for Yale. She's able to gain it to the far side. Didn't get the cleanest connections on that one. Got the deflection, and it will still be possession with the host here. And one way to kill off penalties is to have the ball in the attacking half of the field. So referee stopped play there on the far side for some reason. Sent Marissa Medici off, but Kat's able to come onto the field anyways. And Yale's seen off now the first minute of the two for Fitzgerald. That's the third green card of the match. 2 for Yale, 1 for Penn. Into the area and a penalty corner.
Great job by Katie Smith to stay strong on the ball and draw the foul, earning the Bulldogs their second corner of the game.
And they're 1 for 1 thus far, as again in the 16th minute. On a drive sent in from Bridget Condi, who was blocked down by Liz Matta, but not fully enough. And right in front is Kerrigan to tip it home. So can Yale, despite playing down a player, as the rain starts to fall in the process, can they go up 1 here?
And a corner also takes a lot of time off the clock.
Man, we'll be probably right back to even strength right after this shot. But Camizio, well, she gets called for the fouls. The ball ended up touching her body, and now a chance for Penn to break out here with 5 seconds left. That's about as bad of a break that you can have it, but it doesn't come back to hurt Yale at the end of the day as that ball gets sent out, and we'll be back to even Steven.
Doesn't come back to hurt Yale, but those are the little mistakes that are just that could be deadly the rest of this game. You're not going to get a lot of great opportunities like that to get a corner even when you're down a man. And got a little bit of contact after the pass between Alex McKay and a Penn attacker.
A good pass from Condi, able to link up with Kerrigan, and it gets through. This is Katie Smith on alone, but man, it comes out well to block her away. Well, that was about as glorious of a chance that you can have for Katie Smith, but credit the goalkeeper there, charged out well, cut down any shooting angle, and really the only play that Smith had was to try and lob her, and didn't get all the way up that she needed. But still Yale going forward now, and Meadow drawing the foul.
We're starting to see the wind pick up too, so any sort of aerial ball or lob shots are going to be a little bit trickier for the Bulldogs here.
Under 10 minutes to go. As we're into the 61st minute now. Will there be one more here in regulation? Palacios onto the far side. She has Huang still with her. Behind the goalie, in fact. Keeper comes out well, and it's blocked away.
Another freshman, Alex McKay, making the great clearance after the ball got by Amy Katz there.
And she had to be in a good position as there is a body right inside the area. This will be a foul against Penn.
And once again, the Bulldogs are just giving away possession.
And unfortunately that time as it hit right off of Steffi Katz. Good stick work there by Camizio, and no nonsense this time. Just find an angle and clear it out here to the near side. The wind, if anything, is actually looking to help Yale's. It's going a slight right to left, though it's been whipping around, to really be fair. But those aerial balls and trying to judge it through the rain will be a challenge. Ball here to the near corner. Good stick. And Condi, she can't clear it fully, however. With Canisius popped up, able to ladle that down and hold it on her stick. But a foul gets called. This will go against the visitors. 8:25 left. Kerrigan able to connect Lily Smith to the far side. She'll be able to run this one down. It was a heavy touch enough, though, that took her all the way out to the angle and allowed Penn to get behind the ball. And they'll clear. Ends up being an effective one, too, in the process. Penn will have the insert on the far side with Jasmine Lee.
Looks like they called a foot on Lily Smith.
Oh, that's a dangerous deflection up, and I'm pretty sure it's the last thing that Tara Litchens wanted to do, but Palacios came in late. Fortunate for her that didn't do any more damage, but it'll be Yale possession. They'll get a restart on the far side with 7.5 to go here. It's gotten a lot colder out as well as we've gone out through this game. You were talking about earlier on, nobody's really wearing any Under Armour underneath the jerseys, but boy, they would like to have maybe those sleeves on because temperature has definitely dropped over the past little bit. Chance could be on, but a good stick by Mackay. She guides it out. What's it going to take here for either team in the last 7 minutes to find the winner?
It's really just going to be about seizing the opportunities. I think we'll see both teams are going to get some shots on goal in this last couple minutes of regulation, but it's going to be about who can put it in the back of the net and which defense might make that minor mistake which cost them the game.
Tilton had it deflected out. It'll be still possession with Penn. Again, you have to keep an eye on the number 7 jersey and Alexa Hoover, and she nearly got a deflection to that one. Went wide. Last touch off a Yale player. Hoover, the ever-present goal scorer, already over 50 in her career.
Bulldogs doing a good job of confronting the Penn players before they get into the circle, not giving them the opportunity to draw the corner.
Paige Miley will get a restart. Miley with plenty of space to work with here, and will go to the end line. Look to draw the corner, ball into the area, and that will be a penalty corner, and a bit of a question mark on that one right there as it looked to hit off one of Penn's players.
I believe
inside the area.
The ref called that it was deflected off of Kiwi Comizio's stick and up into the chest of a Penn player. Kiwi Comizio didn't seem to protest that call too much, so I think that's probably the right call made by the ref.
So with 5:40 left to go here, it will be a penalty corner in the 8th of the match for the visitors. This time it will be Elise Tilton to insert on the far side. Keep an eye on her. She'll like to drift off to one of the posts. They go short to Hoover. Wasn't the best clearance, and the shot goes wide. Well, the insert kind of bobbled there on Hoover's stick for a moment, but she was able to settle down and get a decent look at it, but Yale see it go by. Now it's 5 minutes even left to go here in the second half. Again, surely one would think a goal at this stage, that would be the likely game winner. Lily Smith will hold things up. One would also think here at this stage in the match that, well, if you give up anything going forward, you want to give it up in your attacking area, not so much concede inside the defending third. And allow, if you are Penn, not to give Yale a chance, and vice versa if you're Yale. Though granted, they've already done that on a couple of occasions here in the second half. Don't give up anything too close, especially for Alexa Hoover to get her stick onto it. She's flanked off by the far corner, and Jackson does well to hold it and find an outlet. And Comizio will knock it ahead, and Kerrigan does so well to cushion that one down. She's going to earn a restart here on the near side with 4 minutes left.
Kerrigan seemingly comes out of nowhere some of this time with her great speed from her years of playing lacrosse also coming into handy here.
Litchens, good stick, draws the foul as well.
Have to give props to the freshman defenders of Yale who have been strong on the ball, not getting knocked off by Penn and really holding on until they can draw the foul.
Fitzgerald backing down and draws the foul and will look to get into the area. It's deflected. Kerrigan, but she's stopped by Maida.
That should have been a corner called earlier, though, with Penn not backing off, not giving Danae Fitzgerald the 5 yards necessary on that restart, and 2 of their defenders on her as she tried to make it into the circle.
But Condi's gotten herself here to the near side and will wrap it around. There was no touch. That's a break for Penn, however, is working in a little pocket of space. Yale nearly got that chance. As we're at 3:05 left here in the second. Kerrigan leaving it all on the field, if you will, diving across to block that pass down, however.
Not exactly sure what exactly the ref called for a foul right there. Kerrigan did a great job laying out and getting a deflection.
I think it hit her arm, but they're down there, we're up here. They make the decisions, and we just get to debate them for a long time. This is Yale having to defend now. Rachel Huang here at the near side. Condi not giving her an inch.
Great patience by Condi.
Bridget Condi wins the foul. She's one of those highly touted prospects for Pam Stuper to come in. Former high school All-American and a USA Under-17 national team product. But Yale still doing defensive work. Palacios was in the area, but a foul that goes against Penn with 2 1/4 left. Elise Tilton. Well, she gets around Connie again. You have to think about it. The legs might be giving a little bit here late on. Almost waved at that one. And another restart. This will be for Penn. This one, the touch just outside the area.
The Bulldogs have been doing a great job in the past few minutes, making sure to confront the Penn attackers outside of the circle, not giving the refs any reason to give them a corner.
And that time, Camizio doing so well not to allow a chance, but a deflection in front. It was loose, and there's a player right on the doorstep. It was Guccione. Nearly there. Still could be on for the Quakers inside the area. Player goes down under contact. The referee should call this one back and does. I don't know why the referee, to be honest, waited that long. That was contact near the head there. Because I believe it was Jackson that went down.
Yeah, and that's going to be a foot foul on Penn here, giving the Bulldogs possession again. But the Penn bench and stands not happy with the ref's call earlier, but to us it seemed like a clear foul on Penn, giving the Bulldogs the ball.
1:05 left to go. Maybe one last good chance here. Or could we be seeing extra time? Jackson able to find Condi, and she has a long run looking for Kerrigan, but Laura Shelton does ever so well to keep the stick down. Camizio has to be careful here. She had a bounding ball inside the area just about 30 seconds or so and did really well not to let that one hit off her body.
And we're seeing the exhaustion come into play here. Bridget Condi just unable to get her feet around and make a strong side reception there. And
Cats will let that one go out of touch with 23 seconds, and I think at this point Yale will be very much fine to get this one out of their area, but they can't do it so quickly as Hoover with a good stick check to knock it away, but another foul that goes against Penn. And Yale, if anything, just launch it forward, see if you get that connection as Fitzgerald was there.
yeah, but let's not launch it forward through the middle. Not exactly the best play there, and Penn's going to have one last chance.
With 2 seconds, it was Guccione to try to send it to the area, but it will not happen. We will go to overtime. We'll step aside for just a quick moment. When we come back, we'll have your stats and get you ready for the overtime period. You're watching Yale Field Hockey here on the Ivy League Digital Network. We are moments away from overtime here at Johnson Field at Yale University. J.J. Duke and Emmy Reinwald here. And this has gotten ourselves into, well, it's tactical now at this point of the game. As Emmy, you were describing it in words that, well, I can only use partial of it. I'm pretty sure I can't say death. But it's about as taxing on the legs as it possibly can get, as it's going to be 6 aside and a goalie for up to potentially 15 minutes, as we will play 15 minutes from the first period. Sudden victory in overtime, and if there's no goal after the first stanza, we'll swap sides and we'll do it all over again. And you've played in a few of these types of games before, Emmy. What can you do to try and make things, it can't make it easier on yourself, but a bit more manageable in these extra time periods?
Possession is key here. With so much space and with everyone so exhausted, you don't want to lose possession and have to be chasing down an opposing player on a counterattack. The Bulldogs are going to have to connect passes here and play smart if they want to win. It's been 70 long minutes, well fought on both sides, and all the girls you see playing right now have played the majority of the game, and at this point, everyone's exhausted.
Elise Tilton was called for the foul on the far side of the field, though, despite going under some contact. And this is where, again, management and the players that you have on the field could become a factor, because it could come out into a track meet or the game could get slowed down a lot as a foul that goes against the Bulldogs. And every time that you have possession, you have to make it count, because you can get hit very quickly going back on the counterattack. And now Kerrigan has decided to trot forward, and Yale will be able to win possession here on the near side as Huang not able to handle that pass.
Overtime also takes a tremendous amount of discipline. With both teams already being carded in regulation, a card in overtime is just
And that was Katie Smith trying to have one, and the illegal height of the stick and just the ferocity that she had it gets called for the foul. And this is now Alexa Hoover. And she's been a bit quiet and a bit too quiet for the liking of Yale. Has gotten herself into a good position. Huang is sent through. Katz comes out so well and cuts down the angle. Sure, she got a lot of the player coming through, but got the ball first.
And Emily Katz is a great goalie when it comes to overtime. She's not afraid to come out of the mouth of the cage and make those diving stops or confront any players on a breakaway.
Middow's gotten herself into the area. Still Carol Middle going on. Lifts it to Kerrigan, but she can't get there. It was cleared away by Claire Canisius as both keepers have been tested here early. Through the 70 minutes of play, Emmy Katz with 6 saves, Liz Maida with 7. You can add one now to each goalkeeper inside of 2.5 minutes. This is Middle driving across Smith. Well, that would have been something there if she was able to deflect that one on goal. So I think even the NHL, they had to send that one up to Toronto to see if that one was above head height, but still, that would have been impressive, though she played it with the rounded side of the stick, the reason why they called that one back.
That looked like a very similar shot to what we see Allie Kerrigan made a goal earlier in the season, similar to that coming off of the reverse chip from Carol Middow.
That was against Georgetown, where she had one off of a penalty corner, and it was popped up into the area, and Kerrigan just putting the stick flat down and lobbed it over the goalie.
Great defense by Bridget Condi there, being smart, not drawing any fouls, and getting a nice outlet up to Carol Middow.
But Middow loses possession in the midfield line and a long run forward. That's Paige Miley. But Camizio draws, I think, what could have been the foul call, but she'll just get it forward. And these long balls, sure, they're not effective, but they give your team a good 10 seconds to find a little extra energy into the legs.
Especially for her forwards, Allie Kerrigan and Carol Middow, whose names we've been saying quite a bit this game, and have been working well on both sides of the ball, just giving them a little bit of a break here in overtime.
Those substitutions, you may not see as many of them come forward, much to the chagrin of the players out there, but you have to be perfect on your substitutions, as Condi has gotten herself to the far side. Still Condi going on. She'll gain possession right at the top of the area.
Not only do your substitutions have to be perfect, but this isn't the time when you can sub in a player who, might not make a mistake, but be solid. You need girls who are going to make plays out there on the field. With only 6 field players, everyone out there needs to be a star for their team, willing to make those runs up and down the field regardless of what position they're in there to play.
Nearly 5 minutes go in the first overtime period as Camizio rounds one defender. Middow now. Yale asking for a penalty corner, none given, as it was called against Bridget Condi inside the area. Penn's defense has been good today, especially from the start of the second half onwards, between Miley and Canisius. And Chelsea Duggan sprints away from Tara Litchens, but Stevie Katz read that well. Palacios called for the foul.
And the Bulldogs got lucky there that Palacios fouled Steffi Katz. Tara Litchens making that pass back to the center. Very dangerous in overtime when one bad pass and counterattack.
I know ideally, yeah, you want to keep the possession, but the last thing you want to do is give your center back 2 players to deal with going forward in case of a mistake. As Katz legally knocking that one down, and Middow has gotten herself to the far side.
And Danae Fitzgerald just subbed in for Allie Kerrigan. And Danae is one to watch, and especially in overtime. 2 years ago, she scored an overtime winning goal against Quinnipiac for the Bulldogs. She's no stranger to playing in overtime games and making it count when the Bulldogs need it.
Now Duggan is going to trot this one down to the far. No, she's going to let that one just run out of her reach. By the way, Yale is 1-0 in overtime games this season. Came all the way back in the second game of 2016, defeated Bryant in that contest. Penn, this is their 5th overtime game and their 3rd conference game in overtime as well. They are at a 2-2 record with wins in double overtime to Fairfield and to Dartmouth, losses in double overtime to Harvard, and most recently, University of Delaware, ranked inside the top 10. Palacios lets that one go off of her stick.
And give credit to both head coaches who have clearly conditioned their teams well. And you can see that by the high quality of play we've seen in this overtime. A lot of times you start to see the play drop off simply because teams are just so exhausted. But on both sides of the ball, we've seen some great passes and some great opportunities here in overtime.
Medici back in for Yale. Hoover also in for Penn. And also now Katie Smith checks back in. That's a good searching ball to the near side. It'll find the run of Sophia Palacios, who has one of the 2 goals on today. Palacios still going on, and a great challenge by Camizio, letting her body on the line there, knocking it away. It still could be on, though, for Hoover, but the pass just goes behind her. Again, the goal scorers, if you're just tuning in here on the Ivy League Digital Network, Allie Kerrigan, the 16th minute, Carol Middow, just 2.5 minutes from the end of the first half, and then both off penalty corners, Sophia Palacios and Elise Tilton. Officially, those goals came 1 minute and 19 seconds apart from each other in the 41st and 42nd minute.
We have Holly Jackson coming back in for the Bulldogs, bringing a strong defensive presence back there. She's had a great game and a great season all around for the freshman.
Hoover. Not a bad run there by Rachel Huang, looking to come behind Jackson, tip that one on goal, but it goes by the wayside. As we have 6:45 left here in the first overtime period. Again, if we go past the first without a goal, we will switch ends and we'll do it again for the second.
And the last time these two teams went into overtime in 2013, we went through 2 full overtime periods with no goals scored, and it ended up being sent to strokes where Penn ended up taking the win. And that was the start of a lot of the bad blood we've talked about today.
Well, every Ivy League contest, as Brian Tompkins, who is my cohort at the soccer broadcast, say that Ivy League games are like little mini battles and wars, and we've seen a fair few amount of physical plays in this match. And when you play every team over and over again, and so much the storied history in the Ancient Eight, well, there's going to be a few games that are go down as memorable ones, and not for the occasions of brilliant scoring. There could be some battles. A chance out for Huang. Ball bounces around the area. That last touch off of Katie Smith's knee. It didn't hit inside the arc, so it will be Hoover to restart. This is dangerous now, as Alexa Hoover now looking to wheel it around with Claire Canisius, and Canisius with all sorts of daylight, and that one just popped up into the side netting.
And the Bulldogs got lucky there. That was a time when one of the Bulldog defenders needed to step up to number 17. Holly Jackson had done a great job of delaying Alexa Hoover, not letting her get the shot off, but just no one stepping up once that pass was made and allowed Penn to get a decent shot off on, luckily, outside of the goal for the Bulldogs.
Emmy Katz with another save on that one. Had to kick that one up into the side netting. Perhaps some of the players on the bench thought that might have snuck in on the near post. Yale will look to break out with Camizio with 5 minutes left to go. Can she find the pass as Kerrigan to the near side? And she has it. This is Allie Kerrigan, a chance to put it on for the win, but made a good aggressive goalkeeping there. Slid out, denied the shot. Camizio now into the area, looking to perhaps draw the penalty corner. It's Middow's shot, bouncing, and it's just kicked aside there. Liz Mena, not the cleanest of clearances, but effective enough, but it was her charge out of the crease in the prior sequence, not allowing Allie Kerrigan a shot.
And because the goalies are wearing so much padding, it's hard to get a good angle on the goalie once she comes out like she did on Allie Kerrigan. But good opportunity for the Bulldogs there, unfortunately not able to make it count.
I think for Kerrigan, the legs also starting to give a little bit. Maybe earlier on in the game she takes that shot first or second time and looks to slot it through the goalie's pads, as there was a small window. Palacio out the chance on her end. But Katz denies her. Hoover with an open cage, denied by Katz. Sprawled herself to the near side and keeps Yale in this one. Big save there out of the senior. Canisius not able to get around Medici, so she'll Send it to the near side. It's sent across. Hoover once again with a chance at the backhand. Camizio. Well, she not only gets the poke check, draws the foul in the process, and Yale can get numbers forward here.
That was a great defensive play by Kiwi Camizio to just knock the ball just out of touch of Alexa Hoover, but you can start to see the exhaustion getting to Kiwi Camizio, who's played not only the majority of regulation, but all of this overtime period here, making some great essential plays for the Bulldogs, keeping them in this game.
So 3 minutes now, and Yale getting some much-needed subs on and off the field. Katz and Condi now, and Kerrigan once again should be able to latch onto this one on the near side, waiting for help. And there is Condi. Condi, Maeda comes down, charges the angle, still could be on for Yale. And they're going to bring this one back. And at this point, we've seen on both ends, twice for each keeper, laying their bodies on the line. As again, you can come out as a goalkeeper and make a play on the ball, as they've done. Liz Maeda, well, she's had to do that twice in the last 3 minutes as we have 2:20.
Both goalies playing phenomenal games for their teams, keeping the games tied. Not afraid to come out and make plays on streaking forwards.
Allie Kerrigan once again fully diving out to try and control it here on the near side. She has to be near an exhaustion point. A good thing for Yale, they don't have a match tomorrow. They get a full week off in recovery.
And they'll need it after this game. But
they will.
Allie Kerrigan giving it all she has out there on the field today.
Smith kind of shaking her head at that clearance. It's sent straight into touch with 1:50 left. Again, this is the first of 2 overtime periods. If we don't have a winner after this one, we will do it all over again. Again, it's sudden victory. If there's a goal scored, this contest is over as Tilton has split the defense. Now Hoover into the area to the far side. Keeper comes out once again. It's Katz. That time denying Karen's side to the far side. And a break could be on here. This is Fitzgerald. With only the goalie to beat Fitzgerald, but Maeda again sticks the right out there and knocks it away.
Both goalies playing absolutely phenomenal games.
Well, you could just have a highlight reel of both netminders in this first overtime period. Ball still could be on. It's Katz, and she's got it! Steffi Katz, the senior captain, leading by example and giving Yale a victory in overtime with 1:09 left.
An amazing resilience by the Bulldogs to keep playing throughout regulation, and with 1 minute left in the first part of overtime, golden goal giving the Bulldogs the victory. And great job by the
Yale team as they now go and mob Emmy Katz in goal. And if there is just someone that has to be an MVP in this, that is Emmy Katz, who made brilliant stop after brilliant stop in that overtime period, end to end at both ends. And it's Katz who gets that one to go. And Yale picking up an overtime victory and now improved to 2-3 in Ivy League play. And there's still a chance for the Bulldogs. Now they can improve themselves to going to 500 mark in conference and also this regular season. Again, the goal scorers here, Allie Kerrigan and Carol Mitto, 5th and 8th respectively in the first half. Sophia Palacios and Elise Tilton in the second half. And the game winner, her first of the season, Steffi Katz.
Quite a way to get your first goal of senior season, and you know the Katz parents have to be happy with both their daughters. Emmy Katz playing a phenomenal game in goal, saving the Bulldogs multiple times in overtime, and then senior captain Steffi Katz just putting away the win. The first win for the Bulldogs over the Quakers since 2011.